Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast on the Class. Breakfast on the Class today and this entire week has been dedicated by the Daniel S. Loeb Torah Center Silver Donor, Shalom Hazan, in loving memory and Lunish Matem Shiri, Ariel, Kfir Bibas. And also, for all the Jews who were murdered al Kiddush Hashem, thank you so much, Shalom, for your silver donor, donation to the Beit Knesset. As a young person, to give that money to the Beit Knesset is very, number one, it's very impressive, and you're blazing a path. You and a few of the other very young guys who've donated one of the plaques to the Torah Center are really blazing the path and showing people what it means to push yourself to give tzedakah. Hazaku Baruch. Hashem should bless you with only the best of the best. Breakfast on the Class also dedicated for the speedy recovery of Eliyahu Shlomo Farhi and for the continued health of Chana Bat Fega and for Fuash Lema Bimhera Mamash to Haim Rafael Ben Frida. Also dedicated loving memory to Nishmat Daniel Bat Hayayara for his Askara by his children Rafael and Yara Shama. Also dedicated by Jenny and Stanley Cheer in celebration of the birth of a baby girl, Batya Bat Mazal, to Jack and Sonia Sit. Hazaku Baruch. And in loving memory to Nishmat Chava Bat Masuda, 7th of Adar, sponsored by her brother Gabriel Amos. Hazaku Baruch, Gabi, and dedicated loving memory of Ezra Nuri Dayan, the Nishmat Ezra Ben Shafia, pillar of the community, by the Bibi family. Also dedicated in honor of his loving family and all the listeners of Breakfast in the Class. Also in honor of his birthday, and so his beracha is, and please only answer amen if you're listening to this live. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu grant the Rav all he needs to continue being Megaleh, revealing Hashem's name in the Megillah, the tightly wound scrolls of our own lives. And may Hashem grant us listeners that our hearts and minds be open and ready to receive these timeless lessons. Zak Baruch. Love, Yehonatan, Johnny Kirsch. Thank you, Johnny. That is incredible. What a beautiful beracha. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to me. It's on the your, I think this, your Zayn. Oh, gosh.
Happy birthday, dear.
Wow. Okay, here we go.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Okay, very beautiful.
Very nice.
Thank you so much for these wonderful birthday cakes. In the words of,
Make a wish, Rabbi.
they say there's a question to make a wish and blow out a candle, by the way. No, you could blow out a candle, but to blow out a candle and make a wish, might be a pagan item, by the way. Yeah, legit, it might actually be. So you can make the wish by saying, I ask Hashem to do whatever, and then you can blow out the candle that's getting wax on your cake. But to blow it out. Some people have this idea, but I think it's more superstition than halakha. Okay, the week of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in honor of Isabella Halem, Rachel Hanabat Yudin. I'm becoming bat mitzvah this week. May Hashem continue to bless you with goodness. Tremendous hakarat tov to Rabbi Farhi for the daily inspiration and for changing my life and the lives of my children. 2 weeks of Breakfast in the Class sponsored by Edward Sofer, Lunish Matem, Ray and David Sofer, David Ben Moshe and Aima and Simcha Bat Chana, and for the refuah shlema of Elian Ben Deborah Sonnenberg. The year of Breakfast in the Class dedicated to my memory. Lunish Ruth or Farhi Bat Adela, sponsored by her family. To be clear, Rabotai, today is my English birthday, not my Hebrew one. Return the cakes. Stick them in the freezer. Put it in the freezer with the candle. Let's see if it still's burning. In my Hebrew birthday is actually Kaf Chet Adar Aleph. So that's the 28th of Adar. This year that falls out 21 days from now. So 3-week birthday celebration in honor of Ahashverosh and his long party. Okay. Shh. My friends, we also want to dedicate today's class to the one, the only, in the whole world, in the history of the world. Today is the birthday of Moshe Rabbeinu and the Yortzeit as well. 7 of Adar. Hebrew birthday. They didn't at the time. He didn't have an Egyptian birthday, by the way, that he celebrated. So what's it called? His Hebrew birthday, Zayin Adar, is today. So all of the words of Torah should be Leilui Nishmat, the Adon HaNevi'im, the one that brought us the Torah from Shamayim, Moshe Rabbeinu Alav Shalom Zechuto Yagen Aleinu. He should be Melitz Yosher and fight for the Jewish people like he did so tirelessly all throughout the time in the Midbar in the desert. My friends, let us begin. I want to start with some words of Torah that was shared with me by a Rosh Kolel that we have with us today, Rabbi Shlomo Asaraf, who's here from Eretz Israel. He has a Kolel in Pisgat Ze'ev, where my uncle lived lives still with his wife, Hashem Shemreim Chayim, Avi and Annette Farhi, Be'ezat Hashem, Refuah Shlema Achlama Mehira to Annette. Now, he shared with me a beautiful idea. He said in the Megillah, there's a very special expression that oftentimes people don't understand. We read about how Esther comes in the Su'udah with Achashverosh. Achashverosh is sitting there, Haman is sitting there, and Esther says, somebody wants to destroy us Jews. And Esther says, and if we were only sold, v'ilu la'avadim, u'l'shifachot nimcharnu, if we would have been sold as avadim and shifachot, heherashti, I would be quiet. I could have handled if the decree was that we should be sold into slavery. But that was not the decree. The decree was to destroy the Jewish people. And therefore I can't keep my mouth shut. How could I keep my mouth shut? How could I see the destruction of my people? The Ovdan, in the destruction of the people, the destruction of Moladati. Now, Ahashverosh stands up at the meal and he delivers something which should seem surprising to all of us. He says, Mi huzeh ve'ezehu. Who's this guy? Who wants to destroy you? So you read the Megillah, it's very strange. Did Ahashverosh have short-term memory loss? Does he have amnesia? Haman came to you and he paid money, cash money, to you to be able to write these decrees. You took off your ring and you gave it to him. What's your question? Who's this guy? Who wants to? It's you and Haman. Also, it's a strange thing for Esther to be bringing up. I'll give you an example. Imagine a person finds out that there's a decree against the Jewish people. I don't know. Hochul decides she's going to attacks everyone only who's Jewish. Imagine there's a decree like that. Okay. Imagine we set, Richie Taylor. He gets dressed up in his uniform. He goes to the city hall, knocks on the door. She welcomes him in, and he says to Mrs. Hochul, what you're doing is out of control. You want to tax the Jews? You shouldn't tax the Jews. You know what you should do? You should make every Jew pay $500. When something is unfair, you don't suggest something that's less unfair instead. What is Esther saying? Oh, if we were only sold, I would have kept quiet. What are you putting ideas now in his mind? Save the Jews, but make them slaves? Rabbi explained a beautiful answer. He said that Ahashverosh was fooled by Haman. When Haman brought the documents to Ahashverosh, he did not write le'abedam with an aleph. He wrote le'ovdam with an ayin, to make them into slaves. That's what he said. Le'avadim, to slaves. After he said, okay, no problem, here's the ring, and he signed it, Haman went back afterwards, got out his little trusty whiteout pen. He crossed out the ayin, and he turned the ayin into an aleph. Le'abedam, to destroy them. Fascinating insight from the rabbi. And therefore, he said, Esther said, he tricked you. When he came to you the first time, when he wrote down what he was going to say, or maybe when he told it to you by audibly, he said it le'abedam, right? And now, after you gave him permission, he turned it into le'abedam. So Ahashverosh actually was being honest when he said to Haman, I didn't know. That's why Esther said, if you would have written le'ovdam, okay, that's what you agreed to. But this man, he tricked you. Ahashverosh got so mad because Haman pulled the wool over his eyes. Fascinating. Maybe that's why, since he was so angry that the wool was being pulled over his eyes, the response was, Ulay Rav, Lachen, Upnei Haman chafu. בגלל שהוא עשה לו את התרגיל הזה. So that's the rabbi said, and he shared a magnificent story. And with that, we're going to open up our class with this Dvar Torah. There was two brothers a long time ago who inherited a fantastic inheritance. Came from a wealthy family, and they had many great treasures. But amongst the treasures that they had, there was one item that was priceless. This item was the Sefer Torah. It was written by Ezra HaSofer. Understand what we're talking about here. It's obvious that we don't have this anymore, but to have something that was written before the destruction of the Second Temple, that predates the Aleppo Codex by at least an Aleppo Codex. Not exactly, but you know what I mean. Anyway, the guy comes to his brother and he says, listen, you take everything. Keep it all. Just give me the Sefer Torah from Ezra HaSofer. The brother looks at all the wealth that he has. He says, you know something? Okay, you take the Torah, I'm going to take everything else. And Kachava, that's how it was. Anyway, on Shabbat morning, they pull out the Torah. They're going to read from the Sefer of Ezra HaSofer. As they're reading it, they read in the Torah. All of a sudden, the guy who's reading the Torah starts gesticulating wildly, calling over the rabbi. Everyone comes over. There's a ruckus. There's a rash. What happened? In the Torah, it said, "Le'ovdo bechol levavchem," to serve God with all of your heart. But the word le'ovdo, it said le'abedo with an aleph. Like Haman switched the ayin for the aleph, in the Sefer Torah, it was switched ayin for aleph. What does le'ovdo b'chol levavchem means? To serve God with all your heart. What does le'abedo b'chol levavchem? Means to destroy God with all of your heart. The place was going nuts. Hey, you spent all your money to get this Sefer from Ezra HaSofer. Look what it says in it. It says to destroy God. The Sefer Torah is pasul. They had to pull out another Sefer to read the parasha again. Pasul. That night, the guy goes to bed. He's so upset. He's so disturbed. He gave up his whole inheritance for the kavod of a Sefer, of this Sefer. And that night, his father, Alav Shalom, came to him in a dream. He tells him, I'm so proud of you that you gave up everything for this, for the Torah. Don't worry, you have tremendous reward. I want you to know, the Sefer Torah is from Ezra HaSofer. And what you're seeing over there, le'ovdo, le'abedo, b'chol levavchem, it was actually not written that way. There's a fellow in the community. He's a mumar. Mumar means a person who left their religion. And oftentimes, when they converted to Christianity or to Islam, they wanted to get back at their Jewish brothers because of a sense of guilt, a sense of shame. So the guy heard the hullabaloo that was created by the Sefer Torah. He couldn't stand that there was an example of Mesirut Nefesh for Judaism. When he walked away from Judaism, he was an expert scribe, this guy. He scratched off the ayin and he wrote instead an aleph. He said, don't worry, after Shabbat is over now, you can fix the letter again and it will be kosher once again. But this fellow, his name is, he gives him the name in the dream of this fellow who left religion, the Jewish religion. He says, this guy, this is his name, tomorrow morning you'll go and you'll see that from Shamayim they decreed a punishment on him. And because he crossed out the ayin in such a holy sefer, the Sefer of Ezra HaSofer, he's lost his eyesight. The next morning, the guy wakes up. He doesn't want to tell his dream to anybody. He goes directly to the house of this fellow and he confirms that overnight, the fellow who messed with the Sefer Torah had gone blind, had lost his eyesight. The letter ayin in the Torah also spells the word ayin, which stands for a person's eye. Ya'eni. My friends, I want to share with you why I'm telling you this example, this specific hidush that I heard from the rabbi. Not only because it's fresh goods from the rabbi that I wanted to give to you. Torah Eretz Israel, there's no such thing like Torah Eretz Israel, Avira Mahkima. Its air makes you wise. My friends, listen carefully. In our Torah, in our parasha this week, it talks about the clothing of the Kohen Gadol. And it says, Lechavod Ultifaret. The clothing of the Kohen Gadol was an honor. It was a glory for the Kohen Gadol. Now there's a famous story of a fellow, a ger, a convert. Well, he was not yet a convert. He was at the time not Jewish. Who's walking past the Beit Knesset, and all of a sudden he hears they make him a me'il with the pa'amonim, mirimon, the golden bells. Guy has an ephod. He's got the avnei shoam, avnei miluim, choshen, urim v'tumim. Look at this! Wow, the Kohen Gadol dressed in those clothing looked like the greatest royalty in the world. The guy thinks to himself, Shema Israel. He's got this hat. He's got a golden thing. Wow. You know, some people, they walk down Madison Avenue. They look in a window. They see a beautiful outfit. They spend money they don't have. Some of you might know somebody like that. Some of you might be married to someone like that. Hada hears about the kabod u'tufaret, about the clothing Kohen Gadol. He says, that's unbelievable. That's what they give to Kohen Gadol. I'm going to convert so I could be the Kohen Gadol. I think the guy doesn't realize you don't convert into Kohen. You know, you get in on the basement level with all of us Yisraels. Right? Even me, I'm Yisrael, I'm a rabbi, don't help. Right? I'm not a Levi, I'm not a Kohen. He didn't know. He converts. Now, this is an interesting one. I'm not going to share with you the rest of the story. The rest of this example that's brought down already in Chazal. But I want to ask you a simple question. We have in Judaism a famous concept that's called Mekach Ta'ut. Anyone know what Mekach Ta'ut is?
Invalid purchase.
What?
Invalid purchase.
An invalid purchase. What's an invalid purchase? You thought you were getting something and you didn't get something else. Sam, you heard that? You know what Mekach Ta'ut is?
Invalid purchase.
Invalid purchase. You thought you're getting something. You thought you were getting something and you didn't get it. Like as if you bought season tickets to the Jets. Mekach Ta'ut. You thought you were getting Aaron Rodgers. Okay, you end 4-13, whatever it is. You think you're prepared for some football team. All right? Unbelievable. Now my friends, Mekach Ta'ut. I have a simple question. This ger, he became a Jew on what premise? That he's going to become the Kohen Gadol. Tell me, do you think his gerut is invalid? You have this, by the way, not only by money. I'll give you a crazy example. Let's say you have a woman who gets married to a man and she doesn't tell him before they get married that she's very sick. She hides some information from him. It's kiddushin b'ta'ut. He got married to her. It's an invalid kiddushin. Now, of course, there's processes and gerushin, all the things you have to do. But that's called a ta'ut. So here the guy converted based on him becoming Kohen Gadol. Would you say that that's a mekach ta'ut? Mark Ajmi says, for sure. I don't know.
I must be wrong.
I think.
You will use my name if you know that.
Mark Ajmi, in honor of being wrong, is sponsoring the Simcha therapy for this guy who's going to need to deal with his mistake for the rest of his life. He's already dead a long time. My friends, listen to this. I would like to suggest that it's not mekach ta'ut. The Gemara says a very interesting definition. The pasuk tells us, Yekarahi mipeninim. The Torah is more precious mipeninim. What does peninim mean? Pearls. Other people translate it as precious stones. I never knew that until I saw the Mefarshim translate Peninim. Some people translate. Literally, it's translated as pearls. But they also translate it as precious stones. Okay? Yikarahim Peninim. Says the Gemara, what does it mean that Torah is more precious than stones? Who would have thought that the Torah is less precious than pearls? Who would have thought that Torah is less precious than diamonds? I mean, I know some people, but none of us. The answer is, says the Gemara, Yikarahim Peninim, it is more precious, Peninim, from Lifnai Vilifnim. Peninim is a amalgam of these two words, of Lifnai, inside, Lifnim, inside. Of the inside. What's the inside? More holy, more precious is Torah than the Kohen Gadol shenichnas lifnai v'lifnim. Holier than the Kohen Gadol that goes all the way inside the Kodesh HaKodashim. So I asked you, is it a mekach ta'ut if he converted to become Kohen Gadol to go to the Holy of Holies? The answer is no. Because a person who becomes Jewish has access to something even better than what he thought. Yikarahi mipininim. It's more precious than lifnai v'lifnim. Let's try and understand what this dirasha of Chazal means. I don't know if you think when you read on Yom Kippur, I tremble every year when I hear these words of the Kohen Gadol, changes the begadim, his clothing. He goes into the Tevilah, alav v'nistapag. He comes up, he dries off. He goes into the Kodesh Kodashim. He brings the Ketoret. The whole people are hearing Ana B'Shem, the name of God. Everyone's bowing down on their faces. Miracles are occurring. There's no room for anyone to stand. Okay? Then they bow down and there's extra room. Miracles are happening in front of your eyes. The Jewish people have a red string, all their averot forgiven. That's what's achieved when the Kohen Gadol goes lifnai v'lifnim. And yet the Gemara says, you know what's more powerful than the Kohen Gadol? You know what's more powerful than the Kohen Gadol in the Kodesh HaKodashim on Yom Kippur bringing the Ketoret? You know what's more powerful than something that's so dangerous that if the Kohen Gadol is not on the right level, he dies on the spot. They would tie a rope around his waist because the Kohen Gadol, if it wasn't Ra'ui, they would have to pull him out dead. You know what's better than that? More important than that? Breakfast in the class. Also, dinner in the class. Also, just the class. Your Gemara class is more important, more precious, more powerful than that. It is, to paraphrase a dear friend of mine, you know what Torah is? It is beyond breakfast. To quote the title of Rabbi Ibrahimov's post Breakfast on the class. You didn't think I saw, I brought my A game. Beyond breakfast, my friends. Beyond the Kodesh HaKodashim. That's how powerful learning Torah is. And by the way, how much Torah classifies as learning Torah? An hour? A week? A year? A masechet? Shas? Poskim? No. The smallest amount of Torah, 1 minute, is Torah. And on that it says, Yikarahi Peninim. My friends, I want to share with you something unbelievable. What if I told you that Torah is not even 1 minute of Torah? What if I told you that Torah is even studying one letter? And what's my proof? Le'ovdo, le'abedo. One letter wrong makes the whole Torah pasul. One letter changed, fixed, makes the whole Torah kasher. That means that Torah and its validity can be found in one letter. I want you to understand the compounding interest, the exponential growth, the ROI that you're experiencing when you're studying Torah for half hour, 20. There was once a young boy, 14 years old. He walks into the Beit Knesset of the Vilna Gaon. Now the Vilna Gaon, let me just hit pause for 1 second. His name was Rabbi Eliyahu Kramer. He lived in Vilna in Lithuania. He lived about 300 years ago. They said about the Vilna Gaon that he had the mind of one of the Rishonim. Particularly, if I remember correctly, the Rashba. They said he was of that level. He knew all of the Torah by heart. He was rendered a rabbi as a child. Unbelievable Talmid Chacham. Not just for his generation, not B'dorotav, but in the generations before and in the generations after. One day, he's in the Beit Knesset, and a 14-year-old boy walks in. How old are you, Naftali? 16? 17. Right? 17. 3 years younger than you, the youngest kid in the teen minyan, he walks in. The rabbi stands up, meloko mato, stands up from his chair for this boy. They ask the rabbi, why are you standing up? You're a Sefer Torah. Why are you standing up for this boy? Listen to what the Vilna Gaon said. They said, this boy, he said, I saw that the whole world is existing because of him. What? He said there was a moment yesterday where no one in the world was studying Torah. It was late at night, I don't know, something was going on, Mardi Gras, I'm not sure. Everyone was busy. Something happened, okay? Wherever it was. Maybe the timings, the people in Poland and Russia are here. In Iraq, they were having, this. In Morocco, Memuna, everyone, somebody had something. But for one brief moment of time, there was no Torah in the world. And this boy, at that moment, he was learning. We know Ilo B'ritif, not for the covenant of God with Torah, Chukot Shamayim Va'aretz Osamti. The world immediately will be destroyed. And this boy was the only one in the whole world who was studying Torah. They go to the boy and they said, how long were you studying for? And the boy said, last night, I was exhausted. I went to bed, I couldn't fall asleep for whatever reason, I don't know. So what I do, I got out of bed, I took out my Gemara, and I studied, I don't know, maybe an hour. My friends, this boy saved the entire world with his 1 hour of Torah. So that the Vilna Gaon should stand up for him. Don't belittle the Torah that you're learning, because you don't know what it's saving. Torah is magina umatzla. It protects and it saves. 1 letter of Torah, 1 minute of Torah. So I ask you, every day you go to work. Every day you eat breakfast, you eat lunch, you eat dinner. Because if you didn't eat anything today, what do you mean I didn't eat anything today? I didn't go to work today. I didn't say hello to my children today. Torah has to be a built-in part of your day that for no reason, there can never be a day. There used to be a thing, hashtag, right? Don't skip leg day. They used to tell you, otherwise you wind up these bodybuilders, giant guys, yeah? Huge with the skinny chicken legs, you know those guys? You know why? Because selfies are only from the waist up, I figured it out. Only reason why the guy's working out is so you can have pictures. Don't skip leg day. My friends, Torah is what the whole world stands on. Don't skip leg day. I want to share with you this idea of the clothing of the Kohen Gadol lechavod u'tifaret is beautiful. The avodah in the Beit HaMikdash, beautiful. The mitzvot that you're doing, beautiful. There is no substitute. Talmud Torah keneged kulam. It is more valuable than all of the other mitzvot combined. I didn't say that. It wasn't a guy collecting money for his yeshiva who said that. Chazal themselves taught us, Talmud Torah keneged kulam. A person needs to ensure that Torah is part of their every minute, their every day. First of all, I can't even go 1 more minute without welcoming back Haron Shohet. I told them I got 2 birthday presents today on my secular birthday. I got Sammy Sutton returning and Haron Shohet returning. You don't even know what that means. It's a miracle the building is still standing. For them to take off and not be here and everything continues is unbelievable. Shtabach Shemo, welcome back, well-earned vacation. Somebody came, they were collecting tzedakah, they're like, where's the gabbai? I don't understand, he's not here. I was like, he takes a vacation once every 10 years. Could you relax? You know, he's deserved it, he earns it. Thank you so much, Haron, for your tireless sacrifice of the Beit Knesset always. I want to end, my friends, by sharing this. Most of us think, you know something, I'd love to add more time in my day for Torah. I'd love to. But you, Rabbi, you don't know. I'm so busy. How many times I hear this? I'd love to come, Rabbi, but you don't know. What time is the minyan? By the way, when someone tells me I'm so busy, I can't come to shul, and then he asks me, what time is the minyan? You know what I've discovered? There is no time I could say that results in the guy saying, oh, that works perfectly. Well, that's amazing. I've tried times. The only time I haven't tried is 3:70. Like I said upstairs. But I've tried all times. Oh no, 6 o'clock too early, 8 o'clock too late. What are you, Goldilocks? I don't have time. Rabbi, I don't have time. Why can't you come? Why can't you come in the morning? Rabbi, I have to go to the gym. So come after the gym. I have to go to work. Well, I have a great idea. Why don't you come after work? Oh, Rabbi, after work I'm tired. By the way, I'm not disputing any of those sentences. Beautiful. Do all of it. But what you're really saying, again, let's just try and be clear. Because when a person doesn't make time for something, whatever that thing is, family, praying, Torah, don't say I don't have time. Say I don't want to. It's not important enough to me. Now, it's very hard to say those words, but that's what you're saying. Gym is important, so you're getting up early to go. Work is important, so you need to make sure that you're there on time. Going home after is important because I'm tired. I need a break. Going out for dinner is important. You know why? Man's got to eat, right? Beautiful. I understand. Oh, I get it. But my friends, your neshama's got to eat. And Torah doesn't only make you more religious, it makes you happier. If it brings you fulfillment, it makes you a better husband, a better father. A woman came to me and said, Rabbi, I don't know what you've been doing in the Gemara class, but my husband is a better husband for it. So the lessons you're teaching them are getting through. What are you teaching him that's made him a better husband? I said, we're learning about springs and digging holes. We're learning about beer and chopping wheat, harvesting wheat, Moed Katan. There's no Gemaras about Shalom Bayit. The answer is, Torah of any kind enriches a person's life, makes a person more sensitive. Hamma'or sheba, the light in it, machziro lemutav. I want to end with one last example of how a person never loses by giving a spirituality its due. There was a group of people that came to the house of the very first Baron Rothschild. And they're sitting there studying with this great Talmid Chacham who would come from Eretz Israel. He's giving them all the chidushim and they're loving it. At the end of Shabbat, Rothschild says, excuse me for 1 second, I have matters of business to attend to. He doesn't do any business on Shabbat, but the stuff is piling up because many of his partners, people that he works with, they work on Shabbat. Anyway, the guy, he brings him all these, the telegrams. And he sees a few telegrams that seem to be more important. And the guy orders them in order of time. And he reads the first one, and his face is like this, surprised. Then he reads the second one, and he's a little smile on his face. And he reads the third one, and he can't believe it. You see his face is shining. They said, what's going on? What are these letters? He said, the letters are from the Russian government. This guy, Rothschild, he invested in a company, a factory to be able to build and to make iron or steel cables. And he invested in the strongest possible type of steel for construction. Of course, it was very expensive to build a factory, and the materials, if you want A plus, very expensive, the price was very high. Once he finished building his factory and he invested a huge amount of money in the materials, in the factory, in the production, a rival company opened up next door in the next country over, and they were producing steel cables also, maybe a little bit less quality, but for much cheaper. And all of the business that the Rothschild thought was going to come to him actually went to his competition. And he says it was getting worse and worse. He says, and I was going to have to shut the factory and take a huge loss just to stop the bleeding. Friday night, the government of Russia sent him a telegram, and it says, we're in great need of buying a huge amount of steel cables for infrastructure for the country. Russia's a massive country. We're willing to buy your entire stock at a very low price. Lower than the other guy, lower than he could afford to sell it for. That's the first. Meanwhile, back in Russia, they don't know, they don't realize that this guy's keeping Shabbat. They see he doesn't respond to the telegram, they take it as no bite. The guy says, okay, I understand that you're not willing to sell it. I'm willing to go up to this price. He goes to the price roughly of his competitor. That's a few hours later. Of course, he didn't read it. Shabbat, no answer. Finally, on Shabbat day, guy says, I see that you're a very tough negotiator. I'm willing to pay the full price. We'll take all of your goods. If he didn't keep Shabbat, or even if he played some games with Shabbat. You have some people keep Shabbat, but a thing comes from the Russian government. You tell your non-Jewish guy, read the telegram. You know what? Nod, nod, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, if only I could write them back and tell them I'm willing to sell them all at the cheap price just to get rid of it, which he would have done if he wasn't Shomer Shabbat. Then they upped the offer. Then they upped the offer. Then they upped the offer. My friends, Shabbat, Torah, kashrut, honesty, doing the right thing, it always pays. Sometimes you don't see it in the immediate vicinity, the immediate future, but in the long term, Hashlech Hashem Yehovcha, cast your burden on God, and He will sustain you. Hashem should bless us always to be able to make the sacrifices we need for the Torah, but much more than that, to recognize that in the end, we didn't sacrifice anything at all. Baruch Hanei Le'olam, Amen ve'amen. Rabotai, following Kaddish, we'll have the class of Beyond Breakfast with Rabbi Ibrahimov immediately. Baruch Hanei Le'olam, Amen.